Hey everyone, welcome. Look, I'm really glad and excited that you've been able to join me for this video. Look, right now, there is a massive but subtle shift that's taking place in the world of business. And the thing is that companies who really know what this is and how to capitalize are actually in a tiny minority. But what's interesting about them is that they're actually growing faster than the competition. And they're doing that at the same time while creating some of the best companies to work for. And they're also actually helping to shape a better world for future generations. They're actually using their business as a force for good. The shift I'm talking about is the rise of purpose-driven companies. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm talking about companies who really understand the reason for their existence above the basic need of just making money or making a profit. I'm talking about the companies who understand the social value of their companies. They're either founded on the principles of improving people's lives, or they evolve their business models to advancing a cause that really helps to improve people's lives, and they're aligned in every way possible to that cause. In fact, according to research by Jim Stengel, hear me out on this, the world's 50 fastest growing brands found a cause and effect relationship between a brand's ability to serve a higher purpose and its financial performance. And here's a graph to back it up. This is a graph over a 10-year period of time where the Stengel 50 is mapped in relation to the S&P 500. And I'll give you no prize for guessing which line the Stengel 50 is. At the end of that 10-year period, you'd have been nearly 400% better off having made an investment in Stengel 50 versus the S&P 500 over a 10-year span. But the thing is, before a company can really embark on this purpose-led journey that I talk about, there are three fundamental things that it needs to cover, and I'm going to cover those for you and explain those for you in this video. Number one, they need to understand the scale of this opportunity. Number two, they actually need to build a business case for it. And number three, they need to engage their executive or their leadership team in order to be able to drive this through the organization. So let's talk a little bit about understanding the opportunity. First of all, I need you to understand that there are literally thousands of companies out there right now who are purpose-driven companies, right? These are just some of the institutions and organizations that are out there that are driving forward this change. Fortune's Change the World list, Game Changers 500, Conscious Capitalism, B Corporation, etc. Okay, but even though there are thousands of companies that are doing it, they are still in a tiny minority vis-a-vis the rest of the market size. Okay, and that's why this is such an exciting opportunity for growth through differentiation. Okay, now I need you to understand there are two main forces that are driving this paradigm change. Number one is there is an overall decline in the trust in business. Okay, according to Edelman in their annual trust barometer, they talk about trust in business has declined in 2/3 of the 27 markets that they surveyed, and is now below 50% in 14 markets, which is the worst showing since the financial crash of 2008. Sorry about that. And on the other hand, you've got this declining trust in business, and on the other hand, you've got the rise of these meaningful companies, companies that are, for example, like what we talked about in the Stengel 50. And according to Havas Media, meaningful brands on average are outperforming the stock market by 133%. Okay, and not only that, they're actually gaining 46% more share of the customer's wallet, and they're outperforming their competitors in five key marketing KPIs. Okay, so this is a very significant shift. So what I'm saying here is that the market is actually crying out for a deeper and wider and better definition of value. Okay, so just a little insight, where are we in the change? So the law of diffusion of innovation talks about the rate at which ideas and technologies proliferate and spread into the market. Okay, now I can't say this for certain, but based on my research and based on what I understand, we are out of the innovators phase. Okay, the innovators phase is the early pioneers who are talking about an idea that no one else is really aware of. But that's not the case anymore. The case now is that we've got PwC, Deloitte, KPMG, all the big consultancies that are all talking about purpose-driven brands. Why is that? Because it's becoming a more mainstream concept. Okay, so we're somewhere probably in the early adopters phase. And the interesting thing about the law of diffusion of innovation is that it talks about a significant tipping point when you go between early adopters to early majority, and that's where there's this mass market effect. And those that aren't already engaged in this activity, in this case becoming and driving the market forward by being a purpose-led brand are going to get left behind. So here is what the significance of that position against the graph that I just showed you is. Number one is to explain that the model, this purpose-driven model, has already been proven to be successful, okay, by all those companies who've been doing this for many years already. And those who understand and can capitalize on this opportunity will have the early mover advantage. So we're still in that unique time and phase where companies who move forward with conviction and strength can have an early mover advantage. And conversely, those that don't will actually lose market share. And also, obviously, given this the phase at which we're in, and how much left of the market there is to capitalize on, there is massive scope for growth. And the early movers are also going to be the leaders in the marketplace. Okay, so I've talked a little bit about point number one, which is understanding the business case. And now, sorry, I didn't mean understanding the business case. Understanding the opportunity, and now I'm going to talk about building the business case. Okay, so hopefully by now you've already got a feel for some of the business case, but let's briefly take a look at two examples. The first example is the shoe company Tom's. They were launched as a shoe company, and their ethos, their purpose is really around using business to actually help improve people's lives. Now I've written here 1 for 1, and what that means is that Tom's entered the market with a very simple pledge, and their pledge was, for every pair of shoes that we sell, we will donate 1 pair to a child in need. 1 for 1, a very clear relationship. Now what's incredible about Tom's is that they've had some of the fastest growth in the apparel sector. They spent absolutely no money on advertising and marketing in the early years, and since the launch of the shoes, they've since diversified into eyewear, into coffee, and into bags, and they have lots of other products lined up. And throughout their product range, they continue to maintain the 1 for 1 concept. Okay, just to give you an idea of their financial size, they're valued by Bain & Company at around 625 million. Okay, and in terms of their social impact, by the year 2014, they'd already donated 15 million pairs of shoes. So while they're growing faster, they're creating a very notable social impact, and that doesn't talk about the impact that they're having through their eyewear, coffee, or bags business. Okay, another example to look at is Vancity, which is a Canadian retail bank whose stated purpose is to redefine wealth. They have $25.6 billion of assets under management, just to give you an indication of their size, and they've grown by 1.7 million from the year 2015, billion by the year since the year 2015, and they're actually one of the fastest growing companies in their sector. Again, what they've done on a social side is they've given 6,881 low-income and marginalized people access to basic banking services around taxation, filing, account management, etc. These are people who otherwise would have been excluded from the financial system. So they've given these people access, and not only that, they've supported community education through the free workshops that they've provided. Okay, they've also financed the construction of 2,124 affordable homes, thus helping to tackle one of the biggest social issues in that part of the world. And the thing is, what's interesting is that their growth, at least in terms of how they perceive it, has come because of their purpose and not in spite of their purpose. Okay, so just in case you still want much more resources, then what I've done to build your solid business case, what I've done is I've created 2 lists for you. Okay, the first list is just a little snippet of the mountain of evidence and research around purpose-driven brands. Okay, and if you want to note some of these down or take a screenshot, I really encourage you to look into some of these resources that really hammer home why this is an emerging paradigm and how powerful this is in actually helping organizations to grow and change the world at the same time and really create a better future. Okay, so this is some resources that you may want to consider. And then I've created a second list for you, which is just a short list of purpose-driven companies that you can delve down into to look at their purpose, to understand what they're doing, how they're living it, and the impact that it's having both from a social and a financial economic perspective. Okay, so building the business case is obviously a key foundation of getting your executive team behind you. Okay, so that leads me on to the third point, which is engaging your exec team. So one of the things that I've noticed when I've done this with organizations in the past is when your team are presented with the facts, there's a typical response. It doesn't always follow these words, but it follows the same theme. And they say to you, okay, this may make sense, but as a business, if we really want to grow, don't we just need to stay focused on just making money, on cost containment, on acquiring new clients, on whatever the case may be? But the trouble with that is that, or at least this is the point at which you want to emphasize, that purpose is no longer an add-on for the sake of a feel-good factor. In fact, it's a key driving force in creating differentiation, right, and for standing out. And as the marketer Seth Godin explains, in a busy marketplace, not standing out is the same as being invisible. And obviously being invisible is not going to allow you to create that second wave of growth that you're looking for. So if you want a different outcome to the one you're already getting, then what is it that you need to do? I think it was Einstein who defined the word insanity by saying that if you're doing the same things over and over and over again and expecting a different result, that's the definition of insanity. So obviously there is something that needs to change, something that needs to be done differently. And what I'm saying to you is you need to fundamentally address the strength of your value proposition, and you need to think about where purpose fits into that. And just bear in mind that even after presenting all of these facts, you're probably still going to have objectors on your exec team. The important thing is that people are open-minded enough to carry on and commit to the process, okay? And the important thing is that you actually go through this process, don't short-circuit it, don't shortcut it, but actually make sure that people have the right mindset at this stage, because if you don't, it's likely to come back and cause you trouble later on. So the danger with taking too long is that the market catches up and you lose your early mover advantage. We don't want that to happen. So look, next steps. I've actually designed a very, very special guide for you where I show you, number one, how to create a rock solid business case before even embarking on a purpose-led journey. How to get your exec team behind you and fired up about the change. I should say point number 3 should be actually how to uncover your company's core purpose, the process for doing that, and then how to then align your strategy with that purpose, and then how to create a selling proposition that your ideal prospects are going to love, how to then find those ideal prospects and convert those into loyal customers. Look, if this sounds good to you, then here's what you need to do next. Simply just click on the next slide, the link that I put in the next slide, which is www.nashbillimoria.com/turn-purpose-into-profit. Turn purpose into profit. Okay, you'll be taken to a really simple registration page where you can download your free guide. It's totally free. There are no strings attached, okay? And it comes with all of the info that you need to make it a reality. I put a huge amount into this. You're gonna love it. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have making it. And I really look forward to adding more value into your lives and businesses. So take care, and just go ahead, download your free guide, and I hope to speak to you soon. Bye-bye.